Hey, how's it going? And today I just wanted to do a quick video, and this is especially for beginners, about the difference between the take recorder and the sequencer. And it can get very, very, very confusing in the beginning, especially for beginners. But basically, the sequencer can be used to animate things within your scene, and it can be used to record a scene, but it cannot be used to film live game footage while the game is playing. And it's confusing because you can think of, well, I can trigger the sequencer to play, quote unquote, during a game or something, but that's different from it being able to record. And I can show you that real easily. So if I right click here and I go into the level sequence and I double click into it and I click here and create a camera, it's created a camera in the scene for me, right? It's actually spawned in a camera. And I can film this scene in non-play, and I can animate objects in non-play in the scene. And then I can also, in the game, animate objects to play, but I cannot record with the sequencer in game. So like if I hit play right now, I'm in my third person template, right? If I hit Shift F1 to gain mouse control and I come to the sequencer to try to record, you see I can't capture any footage. So I cannot record in-game footage with the sequencer. That's what the take recorder is for. The take recorder is for recording in-game footage. But that doesn't mean the sequencer cannot be used in-game. So if I come over here, let's create another level sequence. Let me get out of gameplay. Let me right click and create another level sequence here. And I'll double click into it. I'll select this cube in the scene. Let me pull back a little bit. I'll just move it over here. I'll go track and add that cube to the sequence, right? Then I can create a keyframe, turn on auto keyframe, send this playhead to the end, and then drag this cube up here and pull it up here, right? Animating it. I'm animating it, but I'm not in gameplay. I could film this, not in gameplay. I could film this cube going across the scene and not in gameplay. If I drag it into the scene and I go autoplay and I click play, you'll see the cube's moving on its own. So I can trigger I can trigger it to play during the game, right? But that's different from filming. So again, so if I go Shift F1 and I come down here to the sequencer and go to film, again, I cannot film. So now I want to show you something else. The reason why I wanted to talk about this is because it came very confusing because I had just done a video about a character throwing a ball, and that was all completely animated within the sequencer, and that whole sequence could be filmed within the sequencer too. But if I wanted at some point to go into play the game or create some part of that ball being thrown during the game, like I wanted physics to take over during gameplay, then I can no longer film with the sequencer and I would have to film with the take recorder. And one difficulty that that arises with the take recorder is that it's a different animal than the sequencer is. And so I want to just give you an example of that real quick, and then that'll be it. But hopefully you'll find this helpful. So now I'm going to go out of the game mode here. And what we're going to do is we're going to film a falling object. So that's during gameplay. So for that we would need the take recorder, right? Because we cannot film with the sequencer. So what we're going to do is we're just going to right click and create a blueprint here. We're going to double click into it. I'm just going to dock it up here. This is just going to be a static mesh. And then we're going to just pick this sphere here. And we'll compile and save. And then we're going to go into the event graph here. And on the event graph, we're going to click a delay node. And let's say we'll give ourselves a good, I don't know, give ourselves a good 7 seconds, let's say. And then what we're going to do is we're going to drag off the static mesh here, drag off of here, and go set, set simulate physics, like that, right? So after 7 seconds, this sphere will fall from the sky. So I'll drag the sphere into the scene, and then I'm going to just drag it up in the air like that, kind of high, right? So there it is up in the sky. And if I hit play, after 7 seconds, it's going to drop. See that? Okay. So now if I wanted to film this, if I wanted to film that falling ball, how am I going to do it? During gameplay, how am I going to film that falling ball? I don't, if I'm in play, right? And even if I had the sequencer on, I can't film with the sequencer. See, I can't do it. So how am I going to film it? Well, I'm going to have to use the take recorder. So here is a tip or trick that you can use. And there's a lot of different takes on this. So anyway, what we can do is let's go, we're in the third person template, right? So what we can do is go in here. Let me double click on this, go into the viewport. And here is our player, and that's our camera, right? Well, the purpose of this camera is to film this character, right? And in the environment, right? But what we can do is just a real easy way to show you how you can film with the take recorder is we're just going to pull this camera up in front of this character here. We're not even going to film that character. And then maybe we're going to bring the camera up a little bit, right? Then we'll compile and save. And now if I hit play, you'll see I have almost like a moving camera, but this camera, it won't be able to record the movement of the camera, but it will be able to record from the camera's position. So if I hit play again, it'll record from this position, but it's not going to show me moving around. It would be cool if it did, but it's not going to do that. But it gives me a camera live in the scene. So now what we can do is if we go into Window and we go to Cinematics and we go to the take recorder, this is the difference between the sequencer and the take recorder. It wants a source. And a good source is the player, because it just automatically locks into the camera that's associated with that player. So now if I hit play and I hit record, 3, 2, 1. This is so interesting. We'll see the ball fall, and I'll let it roll around a little bit, and then I'll hit stop, record. Now we'll go into the content browser. We'll go into Cinematics. We're going to double click in here, double click in here, double click here, and see how it's put in a camera cuts automatically for us. But here's the interesting thing, the most interesting thing of all. And I don't know why this is, but if we hit camera cuts and we hit play, and you see it's going through the frames, right? We don't see the ball falling here. We don't see anything, right? But if we come up here to render, oh, I gotta stop here. Anyway, let me try that again. Hit play. See if we see it. I don't think we do see it, but watch this. This was really messing me up, because usually you can watch things back once it's on camera cuts, but we don't see anything happening, right? So look, if we come up here and we go to render, we can capture movie. And I'm just going to leave everything on the default pretty much. And I hit capture movie. Don't save. Look. There's the ball up in the air, right? We do capture it. But you didn't see it here. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. But just know that you can't use the sequencer to film in-game footage. You can use the sequencer to animate things in your game during live play, but it cannot film during live gameplay. That's what the take recorder is for. The sticking point comes in making sure you've got the right source to film your scene with. And that's sometimes confusing and hard to do. But I found it easier just to use the player or associate a camera with a pawn in order to take recorded footage. So I might do another tutorial about that later. But anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Take care and have a great day.